Deep in the heart of the Amazon rainforest, where rivers weave like silver threads through endless green canopies, lives one of the most fascinating indigenous peoples on Earth, the Yanomami, spread across northern Brazil and southern Venezuela. The Yanomami are among the largest relatively isolated tribes of South America, numbering around 38,000 people today. For centuries, they have called the world's greatest tropical forest their home, a land of abundance, but also of fragility. To understand the Yanomami, one must first understand their environment. The Amazon is not just a backdrop to their lives, it is their universe. With towering ceiba trees, winding rivers, and a chorus of insects and birds. The forest provides everything they need: food, shelter, medicine, and spiritual connection. Where outsiders might see an impenetrable jungle, the Yanomami see a carefully mapped landscape, rich with meaning. Every plant, river, and animal has a role, often tied to both survival and myth. Origins and migration anthropologists believe that the ancestors of the Yanomami migrated thousands of years ago from regions further north, likely crossing into the Amazon basin during waves of human settlement in South America. Over centuries, they developed a lifestyle perfectly adapted to the rainforest environment. Unlike large empires such as the Inca or Maya, the Yanomami never built monumental cities or hierarchical states. Instead, they thrived as semi-nomadic horticulturalists and hunters, living in small, mobile communities that could adjust to the rhythms of the forest. The word Yanomami itself comes from their language and means human beings. This name reflects not only their sense of identity, but also a worldview where humanity is inseparable from nature. To the Yanomami, to be human is to live in reciprocity with the forest. They do not see themselves as separate from the land. Rather, they are part of its living web. The homeland. Amazon rainforest, the Yanomami territory covers about 192,000 square kilometers, an area roughly the size of Portugal, stretching across northern Brazil and southern Venezuela. It is one of the largest stretches of protected indigenous land in the world. Their homeland is defined by the richness of the Amazon ecosystem. Rivers and streams provide fish and fresh water, as well as transportation routes between villages. Dense forests yield fruits, nuts, honey, medicinal plants, and animals for hunting. Small clearings are made for horticulture, where they grow cassava, plantains, bananas, and sweet potatoes. The forest is not merely a resource base. It is a sacred space, inhabited by spirits known as Zepirapu, who are believed to animate animals, trees, and natural forces. This spiritual geography shapes how the Yanomami use the land. Unlike industrial societies that see forests as commodities, the Yanomami approach the rainforest with reverence, careful to maintain balance so as not to anger the spirits or exhaust nature's gifts. Shabonos. The communal village is one of the most striking features of Yanomami life is their shabonos. Large, circular communal houses made from palm leaves, vines, and wooden poles. Each shabono can house 50 to 400 people, forming a single, extended family community. The design of a shabono reflects Yanomami's social organization. Families live in separate sections along the outer ring, while the central open space is used for ceremonies, feasts, and communal activities. In many ways, the shabono is a symbol of their worldview, circular, inclusive, and always open to the sky above, where spirits and ancestors are believed to dwell. Shabonos are not permanent. After several years, when the soil is depleted or resources nearby are exhausted, the Yanomami move and build a new one. This mobility ensures the land has time to regenerate, reflecting a sustainable rhythm of life that has allowed them to flourish for centuries. Homeland under pressure. While the Yanomami homeland may appear untouched, it is far from secure. It is far from secure. Decades, illegal miners, loggers, and outsiders have encroached upon their territory, bringing not only environmental destruction, but also diseases that devastate isolated communities. In recent years, deforestation and climate change have also threatened the delicate balance of the rainforest, making the Yanomami's way of life increasingly precarious. Yet, despite these pressures, The Yanomami remain deeply tied to their land. To them, leaving the forest would mean abandoning not only food and shelter, but their spiritual essence, their very identity as human beings. The land is identity in the end. The Yanomami homeland is more than geography. It is identity. The forest is their supermarket, their pharmacy, their church, and their school. It is where myths come alive, where ancestors are honored, and where each new generation learns what it means to be Yanomami. For outsiders, the Amazon might appear as one of the last wild places on Earth. For the Yanomami, it is home, a carefully tended garden that sustains life when treated with respect. Their origins are written not in stone monuments or written texts, but in the leaves, rivers, and stars that surround them. To begin the story of the Yanomami is to begin with the forest itself, an ancient, sacred homeland where humanity and nature remain one. Asterisk, if the Amazon rainforest is the body of the Yanomami world, then daily life is its heartbeat. Each day in a Yanomami village is shaped by the rhythm of the forest, the cycle of seasons, and the responsibilities of family and community. Unlike modern urban societies with rigid schedules, the Yanomami live in a flexible, communal flow, where survival and culture intertwine seamlessly. Life in the Shabono. Their vast circular communal house is the center of Yanomami life. Families live along its outer edge, each with its own hearth where meals are cooked. The inner courtyard is a shared space, a place for children to play, for rituals to unfold, and for meetings to be held. Privacy is minimal, but community is everything. At dawn, smoke rises from dozens of fires. As women prepare cassava or bananas, and men sharpen their bows and arrows for hunting, children run freely, cared for not only by parents, but by the entire community. The soundscape is alive with chatter, laughter, the crackle of fire, and the forest beyond. Hunting, fishing, and gathering food is a cooperative effort. Men are primarily hunters, using bows tipped with curare poison to bring down monkeys, birds, and wild pigs. Hunting is both a skill and a ritual act. As hunters often observe taboos and rituals to ensure success, fishing supplements the diet, especially in rivers and streams. The Yanomami sometimes use plant-based poisons to stun fish, making them easier to catch by hand or with baskets. Women, meanwhile, are the backbone of horticulture. They tend to gardens in small clearings, where crops like cassava, plantains, bananas, and sweet potatoes grow. These gardens are carefully rotated, giving the forest time to regenerate. Women also gather wild fruits, nuts, and honey, often carrying baskets filled with forest products back to the Shimono together. These practices create a balanced diet and sustain the community without exhausting the land. Roles of men, women, and children. The division of labor among the Yanomami is clear but complementary. Men hunt, clear gardens, and take part in defense during conflicts. Women manage gardening, cooking, child-rearing, and gathering. Children learn by imitation. Boys begin practicing with small boughs, while girls help their mothers in the garden. The Yanomami believe children should grow up freely without harsh punishment. Instead of strict discipline, they encourage learning through play and observation, creating a nurturing environment where skills are absorbed naturally. Asterisk. Social organization, Yanomami society, is built around kinship. Each Shubono is essentially an extended family, with multiple related households forming a single community. Leadership is informal. While some men may gain influence as skilled hunters, shamans, or persuasive speakers, there are no rigid chiefs or rulers. Decisions are usually made collectively. Often after long discussions in the communal courtyard, disputes can arise, sometimes leading to quarrels or even ritualized combat. But the emphasis is on maintaining harmony within the group. Marriage and family life. Marriage among the Yanomami is often arranged. And polygyny, where one man may have more than one wife, is practiced, though not universal. Marriages strengthen bonds between different families within or between Shabonos. Family life is highly communal. Mothers are the primary caregivers, but uncles, aunts, and grandparents all play roles in raising children. This extended network ensures that no child grows up without support, reinforcing the sense that the entire Shubono is one big family. Rituals and daily life. Daily activities are intertwined with rituals and spirituality. Hunters may observe dietary restrictions before a big hunt, while gardeners might perform small ceremonies before planting crops. The Yanomami see no division between the practical and the spiritual. Every action connects to their worldview of maintaining balance with the spirits of the forest. Meals, too, are communal. Food is often shared openly, reflecting a culture where cooperation is essential for survival. Refusing to share would be seen as deeply antisocial and could damage one's reputation in the community. The rhythm of the seasons. The Yanomami lifestyle adapts to the seasons of the Amazon. During the rainy season, rivers swell, making fishing easier but travel harder. In the dry season, hunting may become more challenging, and gardens require extra care. The community's mobility, shifting location every few years also, means they remain in tune with the natural cycles of regeneration and renewal. Asterisk, a world of interdependence in every aspect of daily life. The Yanomami demonstrate interdependence. Men rely on women's gardening to provide staples, while women rely on men's hunting to provide protein. Children depend on adults to teach them, but adults also depend on children to carry traditions forward. The forest provides food and materials, but the people must care for the forest in return. This balance between men and women, young and old, people and nature, is what has allowed the Yanomami to survive in the Amazon for millennia. More than survival for outsiders. Yanomami life might seem harsh or primitive, but to the Yanomami, it is a fulfilling existence. Food is abundant, social bonds are strong, and life is deeply meaningful because it is lived in harmony with both community and cosmos in their daily life and social structure. The Yanomami show us a different vision of human society. 1. Without rigid hierarchies, without excess accumulation, and without alienation from nature. Instead, theirs is a world of reciprocity, where every act sustains both people and forest. For the Yanomami, life is not divided into the ordinary and the sacred. Every act, planting a garden, preparing food, hunting in the forest, has a spiritual dimension. But certain moments in life are marked with special rituals and ceremonies, weaving together belief, identity, and community. These practices are not only expressions of faith, but also vital ways of maintaining social order, honoring ancestors, and ensuring harmony with the spirits of the forest. Initiation and coming of age, one of the most important stages in Yanomami. Life is the transition from childhood to adulthood. When boys reach adolescence, they begin participating in hunting expeditions, learning not only the skills of survival, but also the rituals associated with hunting. Success in the forest is never seen as purely physical. It is spiritual, requiring respect for the animals and the unseen beings that guide them. Girls, meanwhile, undergo a coming-of-age ritual when they experience their first menstruation. During this time, they are often secluded for several days, receiving teachings from older women about their roles as future mothers and caretakers. These ceremonies affirm gender roles but also reinforce the deep respect the community holds for fertility and life-giving powers. Marriage. Jewels. Marriage among the Yanomami is not just a personal union. It is a bond that strengthens ties between families and communities. Marriages are often arranged, and rituals mark the transition of a woman into her husband's family circle. A wedding may include feasts, dances, and exchanges of gifts, such as food or tools. Polygyny, where one man may have multiple wives, is practiced in some communities, especially among respected hunters or shamans. However, each marriage carries social responsibilities. Husbands must provide for their wives and children, and wives contribute through gardening and household work. The rituals surrounding marriage thus ensure that social networks remain strong and cooperative. Funerary ceremonies, perhaps the most striking of Yanomami rituals, are those surrounding death. The Yanomami do not bury their dead in the way many other cultures do. Instead, they practice endo-cannibalism, a deeply spiritual form of honoring the deceased. When a person dies, their body is cremated, and the ashes are mixed with bananas or plantain soup and consumed by relatives. Far from being a macabre act, this ritual has profound meaning. By ingesting the ashes, the living symbolically absorb the essence of the dead, ensuring that their spirit continues to live within the community. This ritual also prevents the spirit from wandering restlessly, as it is believed that only by being incorporated into the living can the soul find peace. The funerary ceremony is a communal act of healing and remembrance. Songs and chants accompany the event, binding the community together in grief and continuity. It is both an ending and a renewal, reaffirming the cycle of life and death as a shared journey. Healing rituals and shamanism, Nisselness, is not seen as a purely physical condition. In Yanomami culture, disease is often interpreted as the result of spiritual imbalance or the intrusion of harmful forces. In such cases, the shaman, or Zapiri, Thepu, plays a central role. Shamans are men who, through years of apprenticeship and ritual use of hallucinogenic snuff made from the yopo tree, learn to communicate with Zapiripu, the spirit beings of the forest. During healing rituals, shamans call upon these spirits, who appear to them in dazzling visions, to protect the sick, chase away malevolent forces, restore harmony. These ceremonies can last for hours, with chanting, rhythmic breathing, and dramatic gestures that embody the presence of spirits. For the Yanomami, the shaman is not only a healer, but also a mediator between humans and the unseen world, communal feasts and dances beyond life's milestones. The Yanomami also hold ceremonies to strengthen social bonds and celebrate abundance. Feasts often follow successful hunts or harvests, bringing together neighboring Shabonos. These events feature music, dance, and ritualized exchanges of food and goods. One iconic ritual is the Rahu feast, held after funerals, but also on other important occasions. During these gatherings, communities come together to reaffirm alliances, resolve disputes, and share resources. Feasts are not just about eating. They are a form of diplomacy and solidarity, essential for maintaining peace and cooperation among different Yanomami groups. Dances, accompanied by chants and body painting with natural dyes, embody spiritual themes, imitating animals, honoring ancestors, or celebrating fertility. The circular movement of the dances reflects the shape of the Shabono and the cyclical worldview of the Yanomami. Rituals of conflict and peace-efficient conflict has a ritualized dimension in Yanomami society. Disputes between groups may lead to chest pounding, duels, or other forms of controlled combat. These events, while intense, are highly structured and often aim to resolve tensions without escalating into prolonged violence. Ceremonialized conflict allows grievances to be expressed and settled in a way that preserves social ties. In this sense, even rituals of aggression serve a deeper purpose: the preservation of balance within and between communities. A culture of sacred continuity in all these rituals, from birth to death, from healing to conflict, the Yanomami reveal a worldview where the sacred permeates every layer of existence. Ceremonies are not occasional interruptions of daily life. They are the threads that weave it together. Through rituals, the Yanomami maintain their connection to the forest, to their ancestors, and to each other. Each song, each chant, each communal act is a reaffirmation that life is not lived alone, but as part of a circle of family, community, spirits, and nature. In the world of the Yanomami, to live is to celebrate, to honor, and to remember. Their ceremonies remind us that even in the densest rainforest, humanity has always found ways to turn survival into meaning and meaning into beauty. To understand the Yanomami is to step into a universe where the visible and the invisible are inseparable. For them, the forest is not only a physical environment, but a vast spiritual cosmos, alive with countless beings, forces, and ancestral presences. Their beliefs are deeply woven into daily life, guiding how they hunt, garden, heal, and even resolve conflicts. Unlike many modern religions that separate the sacred from the secular, the Yanomami live in a world without borders between spirit and matter. The spirits of the forest, Zapiaput, the center of Yanomami spirituality, are the Zapiapu, the spirits of the forest. These beings are believed to animate all forms of life: animals, trees, rivers, mountains, even phenomena like wind and thunder. The Zeparipu are not abstract. They're seen in visions, described as dazzling, luminous. Figures adorned with feathers, beads, and body paint, the Zaparipu are guardians and teachers. They protect humans from harm, but they can also bring illness or misfortune if disrespected. Shamans, through rituals and hallucinogenic snuff called yopo, are able to see and communicate with these spirits. In Yanomami cosmology, the forest itself is alive with countless Zapirapu, creating a world that is both mysterious and deeply relational. The role of shamans, Zapirathapu, are the mediators between the human world and the spirit world. Becoming a shaman requires long training, including fasting, isolation, and repeated use of yopo to access visionary states. During ceremonies, shamans summon Zapirapu to heal the sick, predict outcomes, or protect the village from enemies. These rituals involve chanting, rhythmic breathing, and dramatic gestures as the shaman embodies the spirits. The visions are not seen as imagination, but as genuine encounters with spiritual beings. Shamans are not priests in the Western sense. They are both healers and guardians, responsible for maintaining balance between humans and the natural world. Without them, the Yanomami believed the village would be vulnerable to chaos and disease. Cosmology and the layers of the universe. Yanomami imagine the universe as composed of multiple layers or worlds, stacked one above the other. According to their myths, our world is just one of these layers, resting on top of previous collapsed worlds. Above us lie further worlds inhabited by spirits, ancestors, and powerful beings. This cosmology reflects a worldview in which existence is fragile. The sky itself is believed to be heavy and held up by invisible supports. If humans fail to respect the spirits or if outsiders destroy the forest, the Yanomami fear the sky could collapse, bringing an end to the world. This belief underscores the moral weight of caring for the environment. It is not simply a matter of resources, but of cosmic survival, illness, healing, and spiritual warfare. For the Yanomami, illness is rarely just physical, as often explained as the work of malevolent spirits, sorcery from rival groups, or imbalance in the relationship between humans and Zapirapu. Healing rituals are therefore spiritual battles, where shamans call upon their spirit allies to confront and drive away harmful forces. These ceremonies can be intense, lasting through the night. Chanting, inhalation of yopo, and rhythmic movements bring the shaman into direct contact with the spirit world. To the Yanomami, healing is not just about curing the sick body, but restoring harmony between community, cosmos, and forest. Myths of creation. Yanomami myths explain the origins of their world and the beings within it. One powerful story tells of Omama, a culture hero who created the Yanomami people and taught them how to cultivate cassava, build shabonos, and live in harmony with the forest. His twin brother Yossi represents disorder and death, bringing disease and misfortune. The tension between Omama and Yossi reflects the dual nature of existence, life and death, creation and destruction, harmony and chaos. Another myth explains the origin of the moon and stars. According to legend, a hunter once shot an arrow into the sky, piercing the night and allowing light to stream through. These stories not only explain natural phenomena, but also encode moral lessons about balance, respect, and humility before the mysteries of the universe. Taboo and respect for nature. beliefs also shape daily practices. Certain animals are taboo to hunt during specific seasons, while others are revered as carriers of powerful spirits. Before a hunt, rituals are often performed to ask for success and to honor the animal's spirit. Afterward, ceremonies may be held to ensure that the animal's spirit returns peacefully to the forest. Gardening. Crops are planted with chants, and harvests may be accompanied by offerings to the spirits. Practices reflect a worldview in which humans are stewards rather than masters of the environment. A world of connection. In the Yanomami, spiritual world, nothing stands alone. Humans, animals, plants, rivers, and spirits are all bound in a web of relationships. Actions have consequences, not just in the material sense, but in the spiritual realm as well. To harm the forest is to anger the Zeparipu. To neglect rituals is to invite illness. To ignore ancestors is to risk cosmic collapse. This interconnected worldview gives meaning to every aspect of Yanomami life. It ensures that survival is not merely biological, but deeply moral and spiritual. Lessons for the world for outsiders. The Yanomami's beliefs may seem mystical or unfamiliar. Yet their worldview carries a profound lesson that humanity cannot live apart from nature, and that our actions ripple through the web of life. In a time of climate crisis and ecological destruction, their cosmology challenges us to see the world not as a resource to exploit, but as a sacred system to respect. For the Yanomami, to believe is to live. Their spiritual world is not a set of doctrines, but a lived experience woven into every hunt, every meal, every ceremony. In their beliefs, we glimpse a truth both ancient and urgent, that the survival of humanity depends on harmony with the spirits of the earth. Asterisk for the Yanomami. The rainforest is not only a place of survival, but also a canvas of imagination. The trees, rivers, and skies around them are filled with stories, myths, and legends passed from generation to generation through oral tradition. These narratives are not just entertainment. They're lessons, warnings, and living maps of the cosmos. In the absence of written language, stories are the Yanomami's way of remembering the past, understanding the present, and guiding the future. The power of oral tradition storytelling is central to Yanomami culture. At night, when the forest hums with insects and the fires burn low in the Shibono, elders gather children around and recount the ancient tales. These stories explain the origins of the world, the behavior of animals, and the unseen forces that govern life. They are both sacred and practical, teaching values such as respect for nature, cooperation, and humility. The Yanomami believe that myths are not distant fables but ongoing truths. To tell a story is to reawaken its power, reminding listeners that the events of the mythic past still shape the present. The creation of the world, one of the most important Yanomami legends, tells of Omama and Yosi, the twin brothers who shaped the world. Omama is the creator and culture hero who gave the Yanomami their way of life, cassava to cultivate, the bow and arrow to hunt, and the wisdom to live in balance with the forest. Yosi, his brother, brought death, disease, and destruction together. These brothers embody the duality of existence, creation and destruction, life and death. The story teaches that both forces are inseparable, and that survival requires respecting the fragile. Balance between them. The story of the moon and the stars, another cherished myth, explains the origin of the moon. According to legend, long ago, the moon was once a man who wandered among the people. One day he was killed and his blood spilled across the sky, forming the glowing red orb we now see. The spots on the moon are said to be his wounds. The stars, too, have a story. They are believed to be the ashes of ancestral fires, reminders of the ancestors who once lived on Earth and now dwell in the upper layers of the universe. When children gaze at the night sky, they are told they are looking at the eternal homes of those who came before. The birth of animals. The Yanomami myths also explain the origin of the animals that inhabit the forest. One tale tells of a great hunter who disrespected the spirits by killing too many animals. As punishment, He himself was transformed into prey, becoming the first tapir. Other animals were once human beings, changed into new forms because of their greed, pride, or foolishness. These stories serve as moral lessons. They remind the Yanomami that to hunt is not simply to take life, but to enter into a sacred relationship with the animal's spirit. Every kill must be balanced by respect and ritual, or else humans risk suffering the same fate as the hunter. The journey of the soul legends also address what happens after death. The Yanomami believe that souls embark on a journey through the different layers of the cosmos. Some ascend to join the ancestors in the sky, while others may wander or linger near the living, not properly guided by funerary rituals. Stories of souls and spirits warn listeners of the consequences of neglecting ceremonies. If the ashes of the dead are not consumed by relatives during endocannibalistic rituals, the soul may become restless, causing illness or misfortune for the living. Spirits and tricksters, not all legends are solemn. Some feature trickster spirits who play pranks on humans, teaching lessons about humility and caution. These stories are often humorous, filled with exaggerations and playful warnings. They serve to lighten the seriousness of daily struggles and to remind listeners that wisdom can be found in laughter. The role of the storyteller among the Yanomami. Storytellers are not just entertainers, but guardians of culture. Elders, who carry the deepest knowledge of myths, have the responsibility to pass them on. Their voices bring the past to life. Their authority ensures the stories are told with accuracy and respect. Children learn not only the words of the stories, but also the rhythms, tones, and gestures. Oral storytelling is a performance, with chants, imitations of animal sounds, and dramatic expressions that captivate the audience. Legends as maps of morality. Ultimately, Yanomami legends are guides for living. They teach that greed leads to punishment, that respect for nature ensures survival, and that every action has consequences in both the human and spiritual realms. Through myths, the Yanomami preserve their worldview, reminding each generation that the forest is alive, filled with spirits and stories. For outsiders, these tales may appear as folklore, but for the Yanomami, they are truths as real as the trees and rivers around them. To live without stories would be to live without identity, without a connection to the ancestors, and without guidance from the spirits. A universe of stories. The end. The legends of the Yanomami are more than narratives. They are the living threads of a culture that has survived for thousands of years in the depths of the Amazon. Each tale links the people to their environment, their ancestors, and their gods. Through these oral stories, the Yanomami show us that myths are not relics of the past, but living forces that shape identity, morality, and survival. In the darkness of the Shabono, lit by firelight and filled with the hum of the rainforest, the voices of the elders remind the people, and perhaps remind us all, that the world is alive with stories waiting to be told. While the Yanomami have lived in the Amazon rainforest for thousands of years, today they face some of the gravest threats to their survival. Unlike the timeless myths of their ancestors, these challenges are very real and urgent, arising from global forces that reach deep into their remote territory. From deforestation and illegal mining to disease and political conflict, the Yanomami now stand at a crossroads between cultural preservation and survival in a rapidly changing world. The encroachment of the outside world for centuries. The Yanomami lived in relative isolation, shielded by the vastness of the rainforest. But in the last 100 years, outsiders, settlers, loggers, miners, missionaries, and government agents have pushed deeper into their land. Roads cut through forests, bringing waves of migration and opening paths for exploitation. Each incursion disrupts the delicate balance the Yanomami maintain with their environment. Where once there was uninterrupted forest, now there are scars of human greed, clearings, mining pits, polluted rivers, and settlements that erode the territory essential to Yanomami life. Deforestation and loss of territory. The Amazon rainforest, often called the lungs of the earth, is shrinking at an alarming rate. For the Yanomami, This is not only an ecological disaster, but also a cultural one. Their myths, rituals, and daily survival depend on the biodiversity of the forest. Every tree, animal, and river has meaning, both practical and spiritual. When forests are cleared for cattle ranching, soybean farming, or illegal logging, the Yanomami lose access to hunting grounds, medicinal plants, and sacred sites. The destruction of the forest is, for them, the destruction of identity. The gold rush. Illegal mining, perhaps. The most pressing threat today comes from illegal gold mining. It's known in Brazil as garimpo. Thousands of miners have invaded Yanomami land, drawn by the promise of wealth hidden beneath the soil. To extract gold, they use toxic mercury, which poisons rivers and fish, contaminating the Yanomami food supply. The arrival of miners also brings violence, alcohol, weapons, and diseases. Conflicts between Yanomami villagers and miners often turn deadly, leaving communities traumatized and vulnerable. In some areas, Yanomami children have been born with severe health conditions caused by mercury exposure, a tragedy that scars entire families. Disease and health crisis contact with outsiders has also introduced diseases previously unknown to the Yanomami. In the 20th century, epidemics of measles, influenza, and malaria killed thousands, wiping out entire villages in some cases. With little immunity to such illnesses, the Yanomami remain extremely vulnerable. Even today, healthcare access is limited. Remote villages often rely on sporadic visits from medical teams, and government neglect exacerbates the crisis. Malaria continues to spread, often worsened by stagnant pools of water left by mining operations. Malnutrition, respiratory infections, child mortality remain high in many communities. Political and legal struggles. The Yanomami's territory, one of the largest indigenous reserves in the world, is officially recognized by law in Brazil and Venezuela, yet legal recognition does not guarantee protection. Corruption, weak enforcement, political shifts have left their land vulnerable to exploitation. In Brazil especially, debates over development versus conservation often place the Yanomami at risk. Some political leaders see the rainforest as an untapped resource for economic growth, disregarding the rights of its original inhabitants. The Yanomami are caught in the middle, forced to defend their homeland against powerful economic and political interests. Cultural erosion and identity crisis. Another subtle but profound challenge is cultural erosion. Younger Yanomami, exposed to outsiders, sometimes face pressure to abandon traditional ways of life. Schools introduced by missionaries or governments often teach Western values at the expense of indigenous knowledge, while some education brings benefits, such as literacy and healthcare awareness. It can also distance the younger generation from ancestral traditions, language, and rituals. The Yanomami risk losing the very stories and practices that define who they are. The fight for survival. Despite these challenges, the Yanomami are not passive victims. Leaders like Davi Kopanawa Yanomami, often called the Dalai Lama of the Rainforest, have become global voices advocating for indigenous rights and environmental protection. Through speeches, books, and international alliances, Kopanawa has drawn attention to the plight of his people and the Amazon itself. Organizations and activists continue to support the Yanomami, documenting abuses, pressuring governments, and calling for stricter enforcement against illegal mining and logging. International pressure has at times forced governments to take action, though enforcement remains inconsistent. A warning for the world. The challenges faced by the Yanomami are not only theirs alone. They are a warning to all of humanity. The destruction of the Amazon affects the global climate, biodiversity, and survival of countless species. By threatening the Yanomami, we threaten the guardians of one of the Earth's most vital ecosystems. The Yanomami understand something the modern world often forgets, that human life is inseparable from the health of the environment. Their struggles highlight the urgent need to rethink how we treat indigenous peoples and the natural world. Conclusion today. The Yanomami stand between two worlds: the ancient traditions of their ancestors and the relentless pressures of modern society. Their future depends on whether the world chooses to respect their rights, protect their land, and learn from their wisdom. The modern challenges they face are immense: deforestation, disease, illegal mining, political conflict, and cultural erosion. Yet the Yanomami continue to resist, holding firmly to their identity, their myths, and their relationship with the forest. Their struggle is not just a local issue, it is a global one. To protect the Yanomami is to protect the Amazon. And to protect the Amazon is to safeguard the future of the planet itself. The Yanomami are among the last great guardians of the Amazon rainforest, a people whose way of life has remained deeply tied to the natural world for centuries. Despite the immense pressures of the modern era, their legacy continues to resonate, offering not only a blueprint for survival in the forest, but also profound lessons for humanity at large. The question today is not whether the Yanomami will adapt. They already have, countless times, but whether the world will respect their right to exist on their own terms. A living legacy of the forest, the Yanomami's greatest legacy is their relationship with the Amazon rainforest. Unlike societies that view nature as a resource to be exploited, the Yanomami see the forest as a living entity, a provider, a protector, and a sacred presence. Their myths, rituals, and practices are rooted in this deep ecological awareness. For centuries, they have demonstrated a sustainable way of life, hunting without overexploiting, planting crops in cycles that allow the soil to recover, and respecting the spirits that inhabit rivers, animals, and trees. This worldview ensures balance between humans and their environment, a lesson that has become urgently relevant in today's age of climate change and ecological crisis. Passing traditions to the next generation, preserving the Yanomami way of life, depends on the younger generation. Elders continue to play a vital role in teaching oral stories, rituals, and survival skills. By gathering around the fire in the Shabono, children learn not only how to hunt, plant, or fish, but also how to understand the spiritual significance of these actions. The challenge lies in maintaining these traditions while adapting to modern realities. Education, healthcare, and occasional contact with the outside world bring undeniable benefits. Yet, the Yanomami strive to ensure that such changes do not erode their identity. The resilience of their culture depends on this delicate balance, holding on to ancestral wisdom while navigating new challenges. Global recognition and support in recent decades, Yanomami have increasingly become part of international conversations on human rights and environmental protection. Leaders like Davi Kopanawa Yanomami have traveled far beyond the rainforest to share their message with the world. His book, The Falling Sky, and his speeches before the United Nations have given the Yanomami a global platform. International NGOs, environmental groups, and human rights organizations have joined forces to support the Yanomami. Their advocacy has helped secure legal recognition of Yanomami territory in Brazil and Venezuela, though enforcement remains fragile. Campaigns to protect the forest and its people have raised global awareness, making the Yanomami a symbol of indigenous resistance. Technology. And the future of the Yanomami may also involve careful use of technology. Some communities have begun to use cameras, radios, and even smartphones to document illegal activities or communicate with allies outside the forest. Drones and GPS mapping have been employed to monitor deforestation and invasions. While technology poses risks of cultural disruption, it can also serve as a tool for empowerment. By adopting select technologies on their own terms, the Yanomami are finding new ways to defend their land and voice their concerns in global debates. Lessons for humanity, perhaps. The most enduring legacy of the Yanomami is the lesson they offer the rest of the world. Their way of life is not primitive or backward, as outsiders once assumed, but a sophisticated adaptation to one of the planet's most complex ecosystems. Their worldview, which emphasizes balance, respect, and interconnectedness, contrasts sharply with the global trend of exploitation and overconsumption. At a time when humanity faces climate change, mass extinction, and ecological collapse, the Yanomami remind us that another path is possible. Their culture teaches that survival is not about domination over nature, but harmony with it. The uncertain road ahead, the Yanomami's future is not guaranteed. Their land is still threatened by illegal mining, logging, and political interests. Diseases and malnutrition continue to take lives. Climate change poses new challenges, altering rainfall patterns and threatening biodiversity in the rainforest yet. The Yanomami have endured before, and their resilience should not be underestimated. With growing global awareness and support, there is hope that their rights and land can be better protected. The survival of the Yanomami is a test for humanity. Will we allow one of the last great forest peoples to disappear? Or will we recognize their value and stand with them? A shared destiny, the story of the Yanomami, is more than an indigenous narrative. It is part of our shared human story. If they are lost, we lose not only a culture, but also an irreplaceable perspective on how to live with the earth. Protecting the Yanomami means protecting the Amazon, and in turn, protecting the planet itself. Their legacy is clear. The Yanomami show us that survival is possible only when respect for nature and community is at the center of life. Their future is uncertain, but their message endures, a reminder that the path to harmony with the earth has already been walked. Deep in the heart of the Amazon,